Good morning. Today is Wednesday, and Wednesday is the day that that is governed by Mercury. And Mercury is currently over in Aquarius. And Mercury in Aquarius is about your like trusting your mind, your own thinking, like your own unique ways of perceiving reality in the world and how you present yourself, like really trusting your own thoughts and allowing that to build the reality that you are within. And so, it's a Mercury in Aquarius is it's just an innovative mind. It really is. It's an innovative mind. So it's like a great opportunity to think, to have new ways of thinking about things. So anyway, the moon today is in Capricorn, and the Capricorn moon is about structures. The beautiful thing about this Capricorn moon is that this is the first time the moon has been in Capricorn since we had the new moon eclipse a month ago. And so now we are coming back to those structures and what are the things that are restructuring that are happening for us. And I wanted to share something that's been going on with me because I think that a lot of people can relate to it, but we don't know about it or we don't talk about it. So I'm going to just share here. So one of the things that is very much a part of our structural way of being is our sexuality. Our sexuality and our spirituality and our creativity are all one thing. They are all the energy of life force. And so how we think about our sexuality is extraordinarily impactful to how we experience our reality and our lives and our relationships and all of that. And as women, it's so profound because what I noticed inside of myself, like I was trained or conditioned to believe that I should get a man in order to have him like take care of me. And that I need his money, that I need his things and resources. And what that did inside my mind as a child and as a little girl, and let me just say this, those were indirect things. Like, it's just things that women say. Well, girl, how much money does he have? And like just sort of valuing men for their money and their worth and not for their humanity. And so what that did to my sexuality was that every time I had sex since I was young, it was always about getting something. It was never about the man. It was never about me or pleasure. It was always about what this act will get me in the long run. Is this going to get me what I really want? And what I really wanted was the security of a masculine, of a man, right? It's like, and so I realized not so long ago, about a year or so ago, I started really paying attention to my sexuality and sex, my actual sexual experience. And I realized that I couldn't really feel in a deep way, that I was misaligned, that something wasn't really connected. And I started doing a lot of memory research and, just sort of going back through my sexual history and remembered when I was a very little girl, my parents, when I was an infant, right? My parents were very young. They were like 17 and, 20 something. And when I was an infant, I would be in the bed with them because they, it was in the 60s. They put me in the bed with them and then they'd be having sex. And I remembered the energy, like the energy it felt pleasure. It felt like high frequency energy as an infant. I remember this. And I can remember the sounds of my mother's voice and her moaning and her pleasure. And I can remember the feeling of like orgasm. From infancy, from infancy. And so when I was very young, like 3 years old, I started masturbating and really getting involved with myself sexually and started having sex at a really young age. But what I realized, a year ago or so, that my sexuality was like, it wasn't wired correctly. It had been blown out, just like the circuitry had been blown out from those early experiences with my parents and being so sexually curious and being so sexually exposed so early. And so like between that and the really having sex to get something because I think, like there's some prize in this, like the man is going to marry me, or we're going to be together forever, or we're like that. Like I started to see like, oh, this is not me. This is not really what sex is about for me. And so it's a structure that I've been really rewiring. And one of the things that I really feel like as a woman, that we don't really understand pleasure purely for the sake of pleasure. Not to get anything, not to have things be a certain way, not because you think you should or not because you want something, but just pure pleasure. And it makes my mouth water saying it because I just realized that it's something that I have never really given myself the opportunity to consider. And now that I'm doing it, I'm seeing all over my life where I have just been suffering and struggling and trying to get more and be like in these ways that are, encoded in the way I think and move because I've been doing it all my life, just not present with what is because this is really about that's going to be over there. And so I just wanted to share this because, the moon is in Capricorn and Capricorn governs our structures. And like I was saying, our spirituality, our creativity, and our sexuality are all one thing. And however it is we are wired from the very beginning, right? Capricorn is in opposition to Cancer, which is our early childhood internal foundation. Capricorn is our early childhood external foundation, and then how we show up in the world. And it's just so important if you're experiencing places in your life where you cannot seem to get it, that there is something deeper going on. And there is a solution. If it's one thing I have always believed is that there is a solution for everything. So now I'm starting to, like I've been, I stopped having sex for a while. I started really like paying attention and taking baths and doing things to really open up my senses and breath work and using yoni eggs and crystals to really help my womb kind of really come back to life. And now I'm starting to experience this energy of pleasure that is just really, I really don't know what to say about it yet. And so I'm not going to say that much. But I know that it's a part of my structure. It's a part of the way I think. And I want to say that however you think about your sexuality, whatever you were taught to believe about sexuality as a child, I encourage you to think about that, especially if you're a woman who's, not in your 20s anymore, because I feel like the younger women really have a different idea about it. And so I don't think that they have the same, maybe they do. But I do want to say that if we can have sex purely for pleasure, and not to get a husband, and not because you need some sort of validation or whatever it is, if we could do it purely because we really fucking want to and we like it, it changes everything. There is something so amazing about being with someone because I really enjoy it and I really want to be with them and I want them here, as opposed to being with someone because I need something from them. And I want them to give me something that I feel like I don't have access to. It's so different. It's so different. And if you have that wrapped up in your structure, I promise you, you can never really access happiness. It's not available to you because you have it tied that it's out there somewhere. So with that, I hope this is great. I'd love for you guys to sign up for new moon readings for Aquarius. Please come and let me support you. This stuff is so good. And 3 of you have joined the 13 Moons Initiation. Welcome, and I'm excited about that. And if there's anything I can do to support you, please do. Thank you. Peace and blessings, everyone. Bye-bye.